Hey everybody, I'm going to talk about the trans bathroom issue for a third time this year. And I guess I skipped a lot of the conversation because I got burned out on it. So what happened was, before it blew up into a big issue, I responded to a video by Noel Plum earlier this year, who he was actually responding to Ophelia Benson, and I said things like I'm in favor of unisex restrooms, like a trough at concerts where like men and women can just piss together if women bring little canoes to piss with, and then just restrooms for prude people. If you're a prude, you go in there and you don't have to care about what gender it is, and they're all just single occupancy restrooms. And I was arguing for that in places where there's going to be a lot of people, and I said that it was sexist that if you go to a rock concert, you see men going in and out of that restroom using the stand-up piss trough, and most every venue you go to for any concert, women have to wait a very long time to go to use the restroom because they don't put in enough stalls. So I had my fill of that conversation, and I saw some other people carrying on with it. I didn't like some of the things that I saw by some of those people that I won't name, but I don't even know that they hold those positions anymore because I saw a lot of people changing their views as they were talking this thing out, which I thought was a good thing. But then I saw a video by Eagle Eye 1975, and I thought he did something hilarious, and I just, not even really addressing what he said in his video. Really, I just held up him on my tablet saying this really weird string of punch, 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 poke, 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 and he ended up taking that video down and redoing his video because I sent a lot of people over to his channel, and the debate raged on between him and like Robert Wallace, and but I hadn't really felt like getting back into that conversation, you know. Um, it's been really really talked about over the years, and it's one of those perennial things that just it comes up every presidential election, and this one it just seems to be an even bigger issue than before. But after I sent all those people over to Eagle Eye's channel, we still talked pretty friendly behind the scenes, and there was a moment where I saw a video of someone going into a Target and asking the staff there at Target if he could use the women's restroom. And what I said to Jared, Eagle Eye 1975, I said to him, that guy's not presenting as a trans person. Eagle Eye 1975, you know, with him, if trans people get to use it, any bathroom that they want, it's just a slippery slope and all hell will break loose. But I was actually looking at what I felt was the proof that, the slippery slope was happening, in that this person was cisgendered and asking to use the woman's restroom. Not presenting as trans, not even saying that he was trans, just saying that he felt more comfortable using the women's restroom. As a man, as a dude, right? Straight dude. And so, yeah, when Eagle Eye was making those arguments that it was going to lead to other things like this, I was looking right at it. I was like, wow, dude, that was quick. We made fun of you, but fuck. You were right. There it is. And the most controversial thing that I think I could say um, about my beliefs on that is that I don't think that Target should have male and female restrooms anymore. I think that they should label their restrooms unisex. Unisex with a wall stall, a wall urinal, and unisex with a whole bunch of shitters. Because if the distinction between male and female doesn't mean anything anymore, just go with it. Make a whole bunch of unisex bathrooms. Labeling them male and female is actually misleading to those people who are counting on that because they're prudes who don't like gay people because they're homophobic and they don't want to piss next to a gay or trans person, And so just fucking be upfront about it and say, fuck, they're all unisex now, That's my opinion. But what made me want to talk about this trans bathroom issue again is there's been like tons of stories about different instances of things happening in bathrooms. There's been YouTubers setting up fake fucking pranks about going into a bathroom as a not really passable trans female and fuck whatever. But this story from yesterday says Utah dad beaten up by man for taking his 5-year-old daughter into a Walmart's men's room. Right? That's the one that's got me talking about this again, because it's a lot more similar to some of the experiences that I've had over my life that have helped to forge my ideas about restrooms. And I'm just going to tell stories from my own life because fuck all of the news stories, right? Even this one, fuck it. I really still am burned out, but I do have the energy to tell you all how I have arrived at some of my opinions. So the first story I'm going to tell you, I think, 7 years old, okay? And I was on a road trip with my grandparents and my brother, right? Just my two grandparents and my brother in a car. And we went from California all the way to Oklahoma, where my Aunt Pat lived. And my Aunt Pat lived in a pretty good neighborhood as far as like the houses themselves looked really nice. And the thing is, anywhere you go in Oklahoma, it's kind of backwoods, right? So I believe it was Silsbee, Oklahoma. And the neighbors one day were out playing in the front yard, all of their kids, and I guess kids from all over the neighborhood were out in the front yard, in the yard next to my Aunt Pat's house. And my grandparents had decided that we needed to go out and get some lunch. My grandmother called hamburgers sandwiches. So she said we were going to go get some sandwiches. And I was like, yay! So we pile into the car. I've got the window rolled down, and as we're driving by the neighbor's house, I saw one of the neighbor's daughters, one of the young girls, without a shirt on. And she was probably 5 years old. But me being 7 and being raised in an evangelical Assembly of God church, I decided to stick my head out of the car and yell at the neighbor on his porch and say, "Hey, tell your daughter to put a shirt on." And I actually thought my grandparents would be proud of me for doing that. But my grandparents they were probably horrified that I just, told the neighbor that. Um, it's just something that happened. I remember feeling like, that was the right thing to do because that was just the way that I had been raised up until that point. So yeah, couple decades later in my life, I had to pitch in for a cistern for my family in Panama, and this cistern was a giant uh, water holding device that was meant for whenever the family in America wanted to visit the family in Panama, because in Panama, in Cologne and in Panama City, the water gets shut off at night. Okay, it's only on during the day. So if you have a whole bunch of people visiting, like a whole family visiting a whole family, you don't have a lot of time to use the showers, and Americans aren't as um, well. They aren't as ready to go days without a shower, especially in humid, sweaty conditions. So, in order to make things better for future visits to Panama, uh, my family, my parents especially, were chipping in for a giant cistern to be placed in my aunt Gladys's house, so that they could use the water all night long and take showers whenever. And another part of that was that the people that took showers during the day in that house were of the mindset of most Panamanians, in that it's okay for people to just gang bang go right in and out of the showers no matter who's in there. Like, one after another, just go in and out, in and out. And so you can have all members of the family all crammed into the shower. And this is like every combination you can think of: brother and sister, uncle and of age younger niece, mother and son. Everyone is seeing everyone naked in that restroom, and this is not something that goes over well with Americans that are visiting their family there, because they're of a different mindset where that's not okay, because Americans are prudes. And you know strangely, in Panama, like, you go to a beach and you see people in bikinis anyway, and the difference between someone in a bikini and naked is not that much, but that little bit extra just drives Americans batshit crazy. And the truth is, when people are desensitized to seeing family members and other people in general naked, they don't get boners all the time for everyone that they see fucking naked. You know, it doesn't create problems if you're desensitized. But if you're from a culture where that's taboo to see someone naked, then you know you're gonna have problems. And so I, realizing that I was raised in the prudish culture, I felt bad thinking back to that moment as a kid, trying to tell a guy to tell his daughter to put a shirt on, put a shirt on that little 5-year-old girl who's playing out in the front yard, you know. And that's very similar to this story of Utah dad being beat up by a man for taking his 5-year-old daughter into a Walmart restroom. This is the story that made me remember that part of my life. But also, I have other things in my life that don't involve other countries and other cultures. Um, because of just being raised that prudish. I remember in 2003 when I first moved to Milwaukee and Madison, Wisconsin. I was kind of floating around, and my sister said, "Well, why don't you go sleep in your niece's room because she's off at camp?" And I just could not imagine going and sleeping in my niece's bedroom. It just was not okay because in my mind, you keep people separate like that, and bedrooms were something that's like, only a perv would want to sleep in his niece's bedroom, with all the dolls and Barbies and crap. And I didn't do it. 10 years later, 2013, I'm on a road trip with Schizophrenic Queen, and we're going through California, and we stop at Inventor Gorilla's house, and he put me up in his daughter's bedroom. And in that 10 years' time, my mind had shed a lot of that prudishness, and I didn't find any problem in sleeping in his daughter's bed while his daughter was gone away and I think at her mom's house, because it's one of those nuclear families. But the only problem I had then was thinking that Inventor Gorilla might pop in and film me in a bed with little girls stuff all around and little girl linens. That was my only fear then. That was my only hang up about that. And he didn't do it that I know of. If he did, it's about time that he came out with the footage. But yeah, I think those people who are still bent out of shape about trans people being able to pee anywhere, given time and given more exposure to trans people in general, I think they'll just grow out of it. And yeah, let my people pee. Laters.